Thanks, Benjamin, and hi, everyone. Thanks, Rumbi and your team for putting up this forum. I know I've got 10 minutes, and the topic I've been tasked to cover is onboarding of international recruits, mainly targeted at employers. So with Gemini Exclusive Care, our main core business is domiciliary care, and we started in 2011. And since then, we've gone on to start into supported living, as well as newly starting residential services, where we're establishing some small residential homes. So with international recruitment, I actually started it when I was an employee of other organizations. And then within my organization, within Gemini Exclusive Care, we started international recruitment in 2014. And at that point, we're mainly recruiting from Eastern Europe. However, we've also recruited as far as the Southern Americans and other countries. Now, with the new skilled worker visa coming on board, it's now enabling us to go into Africa as well. So we are recruiting from within Africa. So far, we've recruited from Zimbabwe, Kenya, Nigeria, and we are going to be recruiting from India as well. Well, we've got people already processing documents to join in from India, and we'll be targeting the Philippines as well. So to get into the topic that I've been tasked with, onboarding, it is a very, very, I would say it is time consuming, and it also needs a lot of effort putting on. And the thing that what we need to realize is it doesn't start when the employee is here. It actually starts before we even get that employee, before we even interview that employee. So from the screening and shortlisting, first of all, before you even start screening, employers out there, especially those in dom care or in social care, you know, our recruitment is dependent on the hours that we have got. So it's dependent on the amount of work you can get from your commissioners. So initially, the way we work within our organization is we first of all look at what need have we got, what areas have we got demanding, and how many staff do we need. So how many hours do we need? We know with the visas that are being given is either 39, 40 hours per week, which you have to commit to. You have to give your staff those hours once they start working. So we start planning from there. How many staff do we need to cover the need that we have? And also we anticipate you should be able to study the trends within your local authorities, because like lately we know every year from December till March it's quiet because it's end of financial year and there's no new business coming out. So that is the period when you shouldn't be recruiting a lot of staff, because that is a dead period where you don't get a lot of hours. Because remember, once you've got the staff, you've got to give them the 40 hours that is within the contract. So once you've planned how many hours you need, you then determine how many staff you need. On your advert, you can give as much information as you can on the advert, but then when you come to shortlisting and screening, please make sure that you do those informal conversations. You take time out to make those calls to contact the people who are applying. Explain to them what the job role is, give them examples of what they will be expected to do, the individual tasks that they will be expected to do, the working hours that they will be expected to work, and any other expectations. Like for us, for domiciliary care, I'm sure all of you know that you need to have a car for you to be able to do that job. So you need to be clear right from the word go as to what your expectations are as an organization from a recruit. Once you've got that, then you can then shortlist the staff who meet your requirements, who are happy to go with what your expectations are. And also what I would advise is do not take people in large batches, bring in small batches at a time, because onboarding them, doing induction, it can be draining on your current workforce, because a new starter remember, they're coming from outside the country. I learned when we used to recruit from some Eastern European countries, you would realize that you take somebody who's maybe from a rural area in that Eastern European country. So even though they're within Europe, they don't even know how to switch on an electric kettle. They don't even know how to use a microwave. So we should always take that into consideration, that the staff we're bringing in, we need to give them time to learn the skills, to learn the tasks that they will be expected to do. Don't assume that everybody you take will know how to use a microwave. Don't assume that everybody you take will know how to use an electric kettle, even from Zimbabwe itself. So you need to factor in time to go through all that with the new recruits. So it can be a burden on your current staff if you have too many people joining at the same time. So it's best to always stagger the start dates, or you can just recruit in small batches, which can easily be absorbed within your current team. So obviously you need to consider the current capacity and also the capabilities of your current team. Do you have the right people to do the inductions and to be shadowed by the new recruits? So once you've done your screening and shortlisting, we move on to interviewing. Again, on the interview, you need to again explain about the company and what you do. Repeat again about the job role, the hours, the expectations, the tasks. And if it's in dom care, please, I have learned this from some people I've recruited. Please always check that even though they've got a driving license, they've got some experience driving. And also when they drive, you know, here we drive in severe weather conditions. Work doesn't stop because it's raining. It doesn't stop because it's dark. Please check at interview stage whether your candidates are capable of driving in the dark. I know of a few employers who took on people who then said they couldn't drive in the dark, which then creates a problem. Like if it's winter and it's getting dark at 3 o'clock, that's a massive problem for you. So always make sure you're very clear about what the job entails, what you expect from your candidates, and what they will be expected to do within the job role. We try and put some scenarios within our interview questions just to see how somebody would react to certain circumstances. So we add a lot of scenarios within our interview questions just to gauge somebody's responses or one's values and an individual's way of thinking. So we find that's a good way of interviewing as well, when you include some scenarios that they might come across out there in the community. And it's important to emphasize that it may be a lone working role. So people maybe are used to working in teams, they're used to meeting other people at work. In dom care, you could be going out on your own. You might not see another team member or a colleague unless you go to the office. And that might result in people being lonely. I know Rumbi touched on loneliness and boredom. That can actually impact workers, because if they're coming and then they come and they're left to work on their own, they have to be on their own out there without meeting other people.
Connected to Galaxy A01 and iPhone.
So it can actually affect their performance. So moving on from your interview, you then do your job offer letter. Within the job offer letter, make sure that you are specifying what the job is, where it will be located, the hours that they're expected to work, their remuneration, how much they will expect to get paid, your expectations as a company. And I will say with international recruitment, I know companies operate differently. Rumbi talked about the corporate world offering relocation packages. They offer you accommodation. They offer you a lot of other perks. With small providers, we are not able to do that. We cannot accommodate that. Our budgets don't allow that. Hence, we've got to be realistic and be honest with people. Be honest with the people that you're recruiting as to what you will expect them to do. So I know some companies offer accommodation. If you're offering accommodation, can you make sure that that accommodation is suitable for living? don't put people in accommodation that you wouldn't want to live in yourself. So if you are offering accommodation, then you have to ensure that people are living in a good environment and it is a homely environment. And if you're not offering accommodation, be clear, be outright with people so that they know what they need to plan for. If you're going to be paying for some aspects that you will expect the candidate to pay you back, please include that within your offer letter. Be specific on the amounts that the candidate will be expected to pay, when they will be expected to pay back, when will they be expected to make the first payment, and in how many installments. And it's a very difficult case where when you do not clarify to candidates exactly what will be expected, because that's when people then say we are not being treated well, or the employers are just deducting money from our salaries. Mainly it's because you won't have explained clearly to them. Do not put in vague information. Some employers have a tendency of just saying, if you leave us or once you start working, you will have to pay us £5,000 or £2,000 or whatever, without specifying exactly what it is for and how those payments need to be made. So for anything that you are going to be deducting, it's always good to have it in writing. And I don't know if there are any employers who've been through the tribunals, the employment tribunals. I'm sure if you have a large number of staff, that is something that you're likely to go through. We've got more than 100 members of staff. So it's something that we've had the experience of going through tribunals for different issues. And it has taught us that we need to document everything. Any expectation that we have as a company from the individual, it needs to be documented. If we are not offering accommodation, if we're not offering any perks, we need to be clear on that, on what the candidate needs to be able to afford to do for themselves to enable us to employ them. When they arrive, after you've made your job offer and the candidates are processing their documents, they're waiting to get their visas, planning their journeys, do not cut off ties with them, because they are anxious. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what's happening. So it's good to keep in touch with them. Just regular phone calls or regular messages to say how far is the process, or if you know where you are with the process, just keep them updated. We generally do maybe 2 weekly touch bases, just like as you would do even with your staff, local staff. If they are on maternity leave, you would maybe keep in touch with them. So it's good practice just to make sure you're keeping in touch with the candidates even before they arrive. Support them as well on how they're going to arrive. If they got people to meet them, where are they arriving? Who's going to be picking them up at the airport? Facilitate all that you can, if you are able to. If not, then direct them to people who can, or you can advise them to seek support elsewhere. When they arrive, obviously, I've heard of some cases where people arrive and they are at work the following day. I don't feel that is right. I think we need to be reasonable. We need to allow our new recruits to have time to sort of like orientate themselves with their area, where they're living initially, where they get bread, where they get meals, then how to use that. Is there any bus stop nearby? If they want to travel, how do they go about it? Where do they find what they need? So give them some time to settle in. And as they are settling in, keep in touch with them. So it's about phoning them, say, okay, where are you living? Have you found out where your nearest shops are? Have you found out how to use the buses, how to use public transport, if you're going to use public transport? If they're going to be getting a car, have you managed to get your car? You'll need to insure it, support them with all that. And after, I would say, give it a few days before you even get them into the office, just so that they get a feel of the place, they get a feel of the environment they're in. So give them a few days, and then they can then come to the office, where you then start your paperwork. as a company, what we do is we have the first day people come into the office. We go through all the paperwork, the documents, because obviously we are recruiting remotely, so we won't have the original copies. So we expect to get the original copies on that day. We have a general chat with them, how they're settling in, what difficulties they're already experiencing, what help they need. And then we start the discussions with them about opening bank accounts, how they can open bank accounts. We refer them, we've created links with banks. We know which banks within our areas, which banks are easy to open banks with. So we refer them to those banks. Some banks we know if we give them a company, we've got a template of a letter, a bank account opening letter that we've got. So we give them a copy of that. So we direct them to the banks that they can use that letter in, and they take their documents and they can open their bank account. Where do they get their BRP card? After how many days can they get it? And direct them which post office they need to go to pick up their BRP card. And also how to register with a GP, because that's something that is very important. They need to know how to register with a GP. You can help them find GPs within their area. Also, where to shop and how to use public transport, how to buy tickets or train tickets, bus tickets, and all that. And also, we then organize for them, because with us for domiciliary care, driving is an integral part of the role. So we then organize for them to have some driving sessions, supervised driving lessons, where they are then told about the do's and don'ts of driving, the rules within the UK of driving. I know Rumpi mentioned about drink driving. So all those things, we know in Zimbabwe, people do drive, but we do not really follow any rules. As long as you can get into a car and get from point A to point B without having an accident, that's fine. Whereas here, there are rules and regulations. You don't want your staff to be flagged up by police for doing something wrong or for not putting on their seatbelts and stuff like that. So it's important that you get somebody to actually take them on the road. We actually have people who take our staff on the road, do driving sessions with them, and because they're quite used to driving with new recruits, because we started this with them when we were recruiting from Eastern Europe, so they know what they need to be telling the new recruits, how to fill your fuel tank. In some countries, that's something that people don't know how to do because they've got attendants. So they need to be told how to do that, how to fill up the fuel tank, the different types of fuel as well. And there's a lot of things that they need to learn about. I know in Milton Keynes, we get a lot of complaints about roundabouts because there's so many roundabouts and people need to master driving around those roundabouts. So as you can tell, we haven't even started induction of the work role itself. This is just the life skills that you're covering. So it takes a lot of effort to onboard a new recruit. And within the workplace, we then sort of like structure their induction, where they do their online training, they do their face-to-face training, and also they do shadowing. So we organize for them to shadow experienced members of staff, and those members of staff will work with them. And because they know that our team are used to having foreigners coming in, so they will say, okay, you drive behind me, because they're also looking to see that that person is safe to drive from one client to another. So we don't encourage them to share a car. We actually say they have to drive behind you so that you can be certain that they are okay driving. So they've got somebody who is sort of like showing them how to go, which roads to use. And also you've got the support there. If you're having any problem, they've got somebody who's there to consult for any advice. And also we have a buddy system where we can introduce an individual to a buddy if they want to, somebody they can buddy with. They can go out for coffees, they can go out and do social activities if they want to, show them which shops are cheap, where to get certain things. So that is also available. We also have a contact person within our organization. We are lucky. I know most organizations won't have that, but we've got a business development manager who oversees the way we integrate all our foreign recruits. So he is there to support them, whether it be finding accommodation even before they arrive in the country, whether it be finding accommodation, any support they need, if they need help, even finding a car, any sort of support that they need, he is there to support them. And I know he goes beyond that, even goes to social, into social issues, where he will advise on social issues as well and social integration. So as a company, it's good to have somebody who will guide the new recruits or whilst they are integrating into the team. Don't forget, they will need ongoing support. Them starting work today doesn't mean they are good to go. They will meet some challenges. There will be other things that they will need support on. They will need ongoing support. So always make sure that your staff know whom they can contact for ongoing support. I think this is just it. I've tried to breeze through everything. There is quite a lot to talk about, but with the time limitations, I think that's all I'm going to cover for now. I'm sure we'll have more time to discuss in detail in the breakout rooms.
Thank you, Rufaro. Thank you very much. Our